you say they're adding jobs, there is a shop there now, isn't there?
But that is all going to get moved out back.
But when they move that shop.
Then
to
they'll
the east
they plan
the
on,
new property.
Yep.
How many people did they say more will that include?
well, no, they're going to then repurpose the existing shop space into office space, training space, and things of that nature up front. So any true, I guess, additional jobs, like without them here to speak for it, would more than likely be up front in the front
How many
office.
did they commit to
They,
adding?
well, I don't think that,
From what currently is on location, how
yeah.
many have they committed that you would do a TIF district?
Yeah, I believe it's estimated after phases 1 and phase 2 to be up to 30 additional jobs, but after phases 1 and phases 2, I believe they estimate for it to be up to 30 additional jobs, but I'd have to go back and I don't have that level of detail in front
Thought
of
I
me.
read 65 in the minutes.
30 new jobs. Yeah.
Are you with Jake? No, I'm with. Are these just jobs that are just truck drivers pulling in and pulling out? Is that a job?
No, I don't believe,
It'd be at the front office, so not with anything with the development, but it'd be more people working in the front office, engineers.
yeah.
So they would be local on-premise jobs.
So you're talking approximately 30 people more.
Well,
Is that correct?
it's phased into 2 phases. This is phase 1. Phase 2 will obviously has to occur after the completion of phase 1 so they can free up that space. So not knowing what could happen into the future for sure, it's hard to say that it would be 30 on the money or end up being 28 or 32 or something of that nature.
That being said,
Mhm.
they have an office. I've been in their office, beautiful. They have a shop. How many people, shop and office people are currently employed?
Honestly, don't know.
You're basically giving them a TIF district. How many people currently are employed at that office and that shop?
Yeah,
But
we,
also keep in mind, the TIF really isn't, we're not doing it because, TIF is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about, developing the area. Right? So it's about
Yes.
improving the area.
I think
That's the
great.
purpose of the TIF. The TIF really has nothing to do with job creation.
Yeah.
So-
May I add, usually TIF district
Yeah.
involves more than one parcel. So we're wondering about,
If you're doing this based on a projected, what happens if they don't come up with anywhere near this projected? Do you have something set in place that they
That's a good question.
have X amount of time that they're gonna get back?
You want to talk about what a
Let
redevelopment
people
agreement
know
looks
what
like?
happened?
Yeah, so particularly out west here, TIF districts can be, I don't know what to do. I'm in the microphone.
Can I listen a little closer?
Yeah, sure. So particularly out west, TIF districts are not, I mean, if you're in downtown Moline, it picks up many properties. But out here, Stockton to here to, places out west we work in, they can be project specific because you're trying to close a gap in making a project happen for a community. In this case, the cost of water and sewer service, or sewer service in this particular instance, the extension of the lines, which we then get back in fees for using the sewer service, that gap needs to be closed. And so that's what the TIF does. And the TIF creates the increment. So if they don't, we then negotiate a redevelopment agreement with them. So once the district is in place, whether they get paid a penny is a function of a redevelopment agreement that's to come. We're negotiating that now. If they don't do it, if they don't improve the property, bring new jobs. So this TIF district isn't about current jobs. It's about the new jobs and new development, the new value they would add to the property. If they don't add any new value, there's no increment to pay them. They don't get paid back.
I think I'm hearing you right that, to extend it out, I respect that, but for some reason, there's an amount of jobs that are coming with it.
The TIF doesn't care about the jobs. The TIF cares about the proper.
Why is it mentioned?
Well, we want them to develop the property that way because it adds jobs, but it also adds property value. The TIF looks only at the property value.
Do you feel if you're throwing out that it's gonna be bringing jobs in, that somebody should ask the company how many currently are there?
Again, the idea is about development. We want the property to develop. The fact that it brings jobs, they could decide to do other things with their improved property. We want them to bring this as their center of operations, as I understand it. So that could involve down the road training for people. That, I don't know how many jobs that's going to be. Those are the kinds of things they're looking forward to doing. This isn't a jobs creation program. It's a property value enhancement deal. So they have to develop the property and enhance its value for them to get any money out of a TIF.
That's worded in there.
That's how a TIF works. It's a tax increment financing. That's what it stands for. So today their property is here. This is the baseline of what their property taxes are, right? If they improve it, that they bring the things in and do it, then over time, their property taxes will go up because of the increased value of their property. That difference between the future increased value and what the baseline is, that's the increment, and that's what they get paid.
How long do you give them a break?
The redevelopment agreement sets how much they're entitled to get paid back. So that's a function of property values in the area and how much their development is.
Is it not true that it's normally 25 years?
There is a cap on it, and that's the limit on how long a TIF district can last.
How long do you expect before you would reap any of the benefits?
Well, we've got to negotiate the construct, so as you can imagine, in these highly inflationary times, construction costs that were going to be eligible to be paid is a bit of a moving target at the moment.
So they might have 20 years before
It might take 20 years to, so
it gets any benefit?
no,
No.
the benefit is that they're here and they've improved the property. The question becomes, and so there's property taxes being paid, but they go to pay for this extension of the sewer line. The benefit's immediate.
And the benefit it is that they continue to keep their operations here versus go elsewhere.
And
Okay,
then
that
once.
was one of the other things that we were curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Because
then,
we had heard that,
It's a
that it
com-
was
it's a-
enticing them to
And it's a
keep their
commitment
business
for them
here.
to stay here in this community too, which is a huge benefit to the community.
but to your question about property taxes, so once the eligible costs, and it's not everything, the statute only allows us to pay for certain things. Once we pay them those eligible costs of this development, in this case, these sewer extensions, once those are paid off, then the increment, all that extra property tax goes to the school district. Some of it comes to the city, but it goes to everybody else once the eligible costs are paid off.
I'm old, there's a few older people here, but some of us that are in our 60s, this might not happen till we're gone. Is that what you're saying? I mean,
What
it's gonna
might not
take
happen?
20 years before you reap it.
Mhm.
Am I
Before the
looking-
school district profits from the.
That might
the TIF.
happen. That-
Yes.
right.
So I'm looking around and half of us will be gone before this city will see any.
Well, but the wisdom of our forefathers brought us to here, right? They aren't here to experience and reap all the rewards for all the planning they did.
I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I know.
So realistically, 20 years, 25 years, the city will reap some benefit, the schools.
Or
The
15,
taxing districts.
But
or 15 years. It doesn't, we don't have those.
If
We
you're
don't
talking
have
about
those down. That's the whole idea of getting it based, what's the old saying? If you build it, they will come. So if we're building it and we're increasing their taxes, then over time, that's going to definitely benefit everybody in the city, the school, the county. It's going to benefit all that. Now, how fast does that happen?
Well, and
I
there's,
don't know.
there's also an immediate benefit in the fact that them keeping their operations here,
You bet.
those are people that shop in this community. Those are people that continue to reside in this community. Those are students potentially, if they have students. So, I mean, there is an immediate effect too by keeping those jobs here.
And we build the infrastructure immediately.
Right, and to grow the community infrastructure. Yes, Jamie?
Okay, as a TIF administrator, I'm gonna speak out on this. So once this TIF is created, there's this baseline. Okay, every amount that goes up in tax value, that comes right to the city,
in how many years?
right away. So once taxes are in arrear, so the next year it'll be reassessed. And as they continue to improve this area, it's going to increase their value. So that difference goes right to the city.
That's what pays for the sanitary extension.
As
Correct.
board members, are you curious how many people are in the office and how many people are currently in the shop? Are you curious about establishing that?
this is a piece of a puzzle that the city entered into also, though, and as the mayor stated, is the greater goal was to meet the needs that they have to maintain their operations here in Geneseo. As their business is expanding, they had an option to expand here or expand in other locations. So this is one piece that enabled them to have that or make that decision to expand
Yeah, and
here.
with-
As board members, what would it hurt to ask them how many people?
I'll be honest, Roger, in the meetings we've had, they've told me. I just don't want to tell you that it's 69 people and it turns out it's 67
just
because
curious.
I honestly don't remember. That, but I know we've discussed those things, the amount of people that are here.
It's just, we didn't bring the full packet because this is just a public hearing.
Yeah.
That's why we don't have all the details of, we've had 3.5 months of agreements with these
I
numbers. and
apologize. I
discussions.
had a sister with a terminal illness
Sure.
that. I
Yeah,
took care
I'm
of.
just
So
So
explaining
that's why we
we
didn't make
understand
the
that.
earlier meetings.
I
And
respect that
so-
maybe some of this come out,
We
but
can
I
get you this
I
information.
hear some things that it's kind of irrelevant to. I'm just
And I did
asking.
try to catch up by reading the minutes that were posted online, and that's where I thought it was 65 jobs. Maybe I misread something somewhere. But we did try to educate ourselves before coming tonight. But I had also been made aware that notifications were supposed to go out to the neighboring property parcels. And we haven't received anything yet, other than the letters about, 2 letters about previous meetings. And
And I'm kind of curious. I mean, I picture a shop, I picture a beautiful office.
You have a picture?
Maybe they improve a few more office
And
workers.
we're fine with them
maybe-
being our neighbors.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
are.
necessarily got problems.
Yeah, there's no reason.
It's a good looking
No,
building.
but-
I mean,
But
If
we're
there's a bigger
wondering,
Shop, I mean, you look at the shop maybe next to it. You know, if they were to expand, maybe 5 people, I'm just curious, is these numbers just truckers coming in and out and leaving? I mean, I don't
No, no.
necessarily have a problem with it.
No. Again, the intent is, and it's specifically designed into a phase 1 and a phase 2 for multiple reasons. One, to get the shop and repair out back to free up that existing office space, number 1. Number 2, we know the value going to be invested in this shop compared with the reassessment and that increment will fund the investment we have in infrastructure for this first phase. So that checks all those boxes. We're good. Phase 2 becomes, once that shop's clear, their reinvestment into that and how they're going to repurpose that. They've talked about auditorium space where they could bring field workers in and hold training sessions, and they've talked about a host of things there. So, and then there's other infrastructure improvements that would go along with that, because obviously if you're adding more people, you're adding more flush toilets, things of that nature, to where that sewer system would need some work at that point. But there's no reason to spend that money as a community now until we identify and know exactly what those needs are, number 1. And number 2, as the attorney pointed out, with inflation and the turbulent times at the moment, whether phase 2 happens in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years could be a bit of a moving target too. That's the beauty of the TIF situation. When that time comes, there'll be that mechanism to find those funds with another pledge to improve another property.
so another question I have, I believe I read in the minutes that the intent is for the sanitation project to extend out to the railroad tracks on Ford Road. Is that true or not true? Is it, or just going out to the church?
For
Yeah,
that-
so that'd be phase 2.
Yeah.
So phase 1 is just down Ford Road.
But she's thinking Ford Road to the railroad
Ford- I live
tracks
on Ford
all the
Road.
way out.
Oh, no,
No.
no,
Yeah,
to the
okay.
property line of their property.
Phase 2 would have been in regards to the railroad tracks to the north from
north.
the intersection of Chicago and Ford Road.
Okay.
What side of the road are they planning on putting the utilities?
South side.
The south side? Is
Good, it
there-
won't kill our trees.
Bob Johnson, when he built the church, went on the south side to help us out there, but
Oh,
so we wouldn't have to destroy the trees, but.
And I say Rick has, their renderings.
From my opinion of this company, just from what I've seen on Chicago Street in the office, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, just because they're my neighbor, it doesn't mean I have a problem with it.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to get educated. here.
Sure.
It's great to ask questions, and I'm sure people would be happy to meet with you and. give
Yeah, I
more
mean,
detail.
Roger, you got me. Now
Absolutely.
call me anytime. I'll happily come over to the house with Brandon and we can sit down and go through this further if you'd like, or
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could,
I
we-
I have a few questions.
we could meet here too. So absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd like that.
More
For
than
sure.
happy to.
And again, I apologize for us not making the previous meetings,
None.
but
Not at all.
we had extenuating circumstances in our family, so.
No, not at all. Okay, do you have anything else right now, Rosie?
No, I don't think so.
I look at this? You can look at it, yeah. You want to sit with me?
Andy, do you have-
Well,
No?
we still have 10 minutes, so I mean.
That's Tyler. IMEC.
That's IMAG.
This is not irrelevant.
Oh, okay. I mean, if we're gonna meet later, we could always answer the questions. Keep the meeting open. For a little bit.
Sean, they already put offices above the mechanics, didn't they?
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, that, I'm leaving it open for that very reason. I want to make sure you have all the time you need.
We're not trying to.
No, I don't feel,
They're good neighbors. We're happy to.
yeah, I don't feel that at all. I'm a big fan of making sure people are satisfied with their city government, so. Yeah, believe it or not.
Could they theoretically annex it in Texas?
Yeah.
We had heard that several of the properties on, like right off of Chicago at the corner of Ford Road that are not currently annexed were going to be approached. As well as us and. the-
We're not interested in making people do something.
It's like the snake, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's reasons where that might make sense, but we're not in the interest of making people do something they don't want to do.
People you're encouraging coming is,
People that want to come to the city.
Be careful how I word that, because I mean,
but if we
Edwards
don't,
we want safe water and sewer too.
but if we don't come, you're gonna, you have city charges more.
Power and water, rates are going up.
Okay,
Yep,
that's true, right?
That is true.
55% over 3 years, is that correct?
the additional rates for utility holders that are non-resident or non,
Not in the city.
yeah.
Yeah, the water rate is 2.5 times more you pay being outside of city limits.
So my land's, you know, it was a farmhouse. I have chickens and ducks and such, but, if I don't come, I have city water ran out, I don't have a well. So if we don't annex in, you're gonna charge us a lot. You pay double currently.
You pay double, you pay that rate currently.
I pay
It's not going up higher?
Right now, it's 2.5 times the in-town resident rate.
In the next 3 years, is that?
The rates are reviewed every year by the council, so we couldn't say what the future rates will be at this
I
time.
read in some minutes that the non-residents on utilities were gonna be, having increased charges.
Oh,
I can pull this
I-
out, and then we meet
Yeah.
with,
You are paying more than city.
But there's
Yeah.
no
Yeah,
plan to
and we
increase.
understand.
Yeah.
that we-
Right, no, it's increasing more.
We understand that, but we were also under the impression that we are going to be paying an additional 55% on top of what we are paying now over the incremental increases over the next 3 years. And I thought,
I don't know where that would be coming from. Yeah.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
The answer is
Yeah.
no, yeah.
Yeah, and if,
so
we-
we're not gonna have additional planned increases as of right now. I understand.
but they're reviewed
We
annually.
review them every year.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
And we're paying 2.5 times now on our water. I don't remember what the rate is on our
Yeah.
The process that's been in place for many years is not changing and will not change because of this annexation or your location to those utilities.
And I guess I'm not just speaking for us, but what is there, like 50 properties?
Right in that area there.
No, Genesis.
Oh, there's actually more than that, isn't there?
Of non-resident.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
So many, is there?
So just for baseline, so you understand the process,
Roger?
the baseline process is Illinois law requires that they set a rate every year so that the in-town people, what they pay is sufficient to cover the actual cost of operating the water system. Then you follow behind at 2.5 times. So when you say about rate increases, every year they have to be reviewed for the in-town people to meet that statutory requirement. And then you just follow along at 2.5 times. But there's no piece of legislation to then add something on top of that. That's.
As the city, you want these people to come to the city? Is that your goal?
We would welcome people to entertain joining the city, yes. Yeah.
And possibly pressure them by raising their rates.
No, that's definitely not an intent to pressure, but you have to understand as a community, the rates are assigned, I mean, we have to pay for these services, right? So you pay for services as a city as a whole, but yet when people are not necessarily part of the city, but still getting many of those services, the intent is to spread that fare across the board, right? Because there's rates that other local residents that are in the city pay that you don't pay by being outside the county too, outside of just utilities, as far as taxes and things of that nature. So it's trying to kind of equalize the pain a little bit. Very much like the high water users, right? We have businesses and industries that use a lot of water. We've raised them substantially too, because obviously the more you use, you should pay more. Well, I think if that being said, since we're bumping up against 6 o'clock, we'll go ahead and item number 2 would be a move to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion by Arnold,
Second.
second by Kennett. Roll call. Or all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. We're adjourned.
Jamie, hold on.
No,